It is 11:05, and we will be getting started roughly in about 5 minutes. So gather around the food table, enjoy, indulge, and find a seat anywhere you like, and we'll talk shortly. See you soon.
Hello. Testing. All right. Good morning, everyone. It is 11:11, so no worries. We're going to do the introductions and logistics. Please still get your food. We're fine here. All right. So welcome to our first Foundations of Leadership Lunch and Learn, celebrating our Q1 and pilot graduate cohort. So give yourself a round of applause for that. It is a pleasure to be here today and highlight this Lunch and Learn, as we will be highlighting how to utilize DiSC with intention to design more effective meetings. I am Dr. April Reed, Director of Organizational Development, and it is a pleasure to see this labor of love take presence right in front of my eyes and all of your participation. So I just want to highlight a couple things. Ground rules for everyone. Please be sure to be respectful of each other, so no talking over others. And then when we get into the group discussion later, for in-person attendees, we want to avoid side conversation. So if you do have your mobile device, please cut it on silent or vibrate so that it won't interrupt, and feel free to step out if you need to take the call. For our virtual attendees, hi, thank you for joining us. We have a group at the Nursing Magnet conference, and others join in. Please feel free to type your question inside of the chat, and we'll be sure to get them addressed as well. And resources. When you checked in, you have your Foundations of Leadership graduate guide available. So similar to our toolkit and booklet, we'll be navigating through it. So for the agenda for this session, we go into 12:30. We have opening remarks, and then panel discussion accompanied by the Q&A. So we want to learn, how are you guys taking your DiSC back and utilizing it within the workplace? What worked well, what did not work well, and then how can we pivot? DiSC in action, designing more effective meetings and building better agendas. And then we're going to have the group activity, some key takeaways, and then next steps with the community building. Logistics, if you need to use the restroom, please be sure to go outside of this door. We have restrooms to the right and left. And again, just feel free to get up and go. All right, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our senior executive, Dr. John Radosta, Chief Medical Officer, who has some words to impart upon you graduates.
Do you guys need me to walk up again so you can clap as I walk onto stage?
Again.
Come on, walking all the way over here and I didn't trip and fall? Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And to anyone who's online, sorry you couldn't be here. For those that are in Atlanta, can't wait to see the video of our nurses walking across that magnet stage for the first time ever. So well deserved. Each of you plays such a vital role at our organization, whether it's providing bedside care, leading small groups, leading large groups. Foundations of Leadership is really so important to what we are and what we want to be as an organization. So I want to congratulate all of you. Speaking of tripping, see how impressive it was that I didn't? The Foundations of Leader program wasn't just a training, it was a journey. It's a journey that we're on as an organization. I really want you to think and self-reflect around the growth that you have had through this journey, and that you will continue to have through this journey, and that we will have through this journey. We're an organization that is improving constantly. We are growing our ability to create accountability around so many things that we do. The skills that you build, the mindset that you've created, leading with empathy, communicating with clarity, building trust, adapting with resilience. These are all things that are so important to leadership, and I'm so glad that all of you have had the opportunity to learn. One of the most important takeaways is remembering that leading is about presence, leading is about consistency, leading is about action. The DiSC tools are great. I've heard them mentioned multiple times since the event. People keep coming up to me and saying, "You must be a D." I find that offensive. And then I remember what D stands for. But helping us connect, helping us collaborate, and helping us truly see each other is so important. I challenge you to take what you learned and carry it forward. Don't let this be something else that you learned and then don't use. Let's all work every day to take what we learned through this foundations of leadership training and use it every day. You will change our culture. We will be better because of you. So thank you for all you did. Congratulations, and I look forward to future leadership.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rodelsa. It is an honor to have you here, especially bumped right up against the senior exec meeting. And so thank you for making a wise choice to be here with us today. I am excited to be just one of your mistresses or masters of ceremonies today. I am Angelique Thomas, your current leadership development, training development specialist, which is a really long title that just explains that I'm the best person for this job. So I, though, am even more excited to invite my esteemed panelists. And so before they get up, I have to take a moment to tell you that we invited this panel of leaders here because they have been very honest about applying what they've learned through Foundations of Leadership, and we're so excited that they are going to present real life examples, real life perspectives, if you will, that really provide a little bit more insight into taking something, embracing it, and learning it throughout. And so after each panelist shares today with a series of questions, we'll open it up for a Q&A because survey says that you all like a lot of engagement with each other. And so we're looking forward to having those questions from you out there in the chat or out there in this room, but also out there with the chat feature as well. So please welcome to the stage Ghazal Khan, who is a current SI, defined by DiSC as SI. Nicole Mitros, who is defined by DiSC as IS. Come on up. Codis Mitchell, who's defined as DiSC. His DiSC style is CS. And Emmeline J. Young, or Emmy for short, is going to join us up on the stage, whose DiSC style is defined as ID. Can you shut the screen off? Alan, you'll shut the screen off for us so it doesn't in their face. All right. Thank you. Okay, so if you wouldn't mind just taking a couple moments, I introduced you, but if you'd like to introduce yourself to the group today, because there are some new faces in the room that did not go through the program with you. You can use the mics on your tables. Emmy, you're up. Oh, cut it on.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me to be one of the panelists. My name is Emmy. I've been at UI Health for almost 9 years. I've been in healthcare as a registered nurse for 27 years. I oversee radiation oncology as a director for almost 6 years now. So,
adjust this a little bit, hopefully. Or not. Hi, everyone. My name is Codis Mitchell. I'm the current Director of Health Equity for UI Health. I've been with UI Health for 8 years now, and so 3 years as a director and formal leader. And, you know, love working here, love the people that are here, and I think this training has been so great for me as a relatively new leader to learn about how to manage my teams and also interact with others, both above, at my level, and but below me on the org chart. So thank you.
Hi, my name's Nicole. I have been here the last 2 years. I was working as an HOA, and now for the last 3 weeks, I've been interim manager for A West Oncology, and been a nurse for 16 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Ghazal Khan, and I've been at UI Health for almost 2 years, a little over 2 years. And I'm working as a manager over anatomic pathology in the laboratory. And I have been in this role for more than 2 years. I came from a different institution, and over there I was in the same position. So have a leadership experience for like maybe 10 plus years. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you all for being here and being willing to share your wealth of knowledge and expertise. One of the most admirable qualities about UI Health is the amount of tenure that sits in this room and walks through our hallways. And so thank you all for your leadership thus far. So I do have a series of questions for you, and while each of you may not get the opportunity to answer every single one, I am interested in learning a little bit more about what answer you may provide to the question that speaks to the one that you connect to the most. So the very first question is, what was your biggest aha moment after learning your DiSC style?
I can start. Yeah, so before taking this course, I mean, you know, I was actually kind of really amazed to see the different personality type, because I never thought about it, because, you know, working in a leadership position for many years, still it didn't really occur to me, you know, honestly speaking, that, you know, I should be handling different people differently based on their personalities. And then if somebody in my team is coming off like more strongly or more direct, or they're not in the mood of talking, or they're like extra caring and extra gentle, why they're doing that. So then, you know, when you just understand that this style personality, then you see, and then learning about my own personality, which is SI. So, you know, like I'm a very easygoing, like, you know, motivating person, you know, like, and try to avoid conflict and stuff like that. But when I'm interacting with a D style person who's like a more direct, more, you know, just focus on the results, before taking this course, it used to be a little bit more challenging for me to handle that. But then I think I learned through this course that, as a matter of fact, what they're doing, or the way they're, you know, talking to me or communicating with me, it's not like they're attacking on me. It's just like I need to understand their personality because they need the results, right? And so I need to handle them accordingly, and I need to change myself a little bit too, and, you know, try to understand, you know, their perspective too. So it really helped me, and I was amazed to, you know, apply after taking this course.
Cool. Thank you, Ghazal. Anyone else?
So my aha. So I think, so I'm a CS again, so conscientious and steadiness. Right. Okay.
Look at that.
Hey.
Look at that.
So, you know, I wasn't surprised at the leadership style that I aligned with. I think for me, the value came in getting the general framework and being able to, you know, as you have discussions, you know, with people, as you interact with new people, you know, the way that people communicate obviously varies. And so it's important for leaders to, you know, not get offended or kind of distracted by maybe directness of some people or indirectness of some other people. And so the framework kind of provided an aha for me in that it allowed me to kind of reframe like the discussions I was having, and like if I receive this conversation some way, maybe don't take it emotionally, think about it more rationally, reframe it into, is it more of a D or I type of moment? And so once I kind of am able to put it in that framework, I can say, okay, how can I respond in a way that will be received and still be effective? And so I think that for me was like the big aha was like, you know, learning how to say, accommodate for, more styles than like I may have been used to in my previous roles. As I get to meet more people, that the framework has been super helpful for me. So that's what I'll say.
Thank you, Codis. Okay, our next question. Can you share a story where DiSC helped resolve a conflict or misunderstanding?
I could go.
Go ahead, Nicole.
So I think for me, it's been very helpful because I am like on the IS right in between. So my style is more kind of happy and avoiding conflict. So just learning how to deal with other styles and misunderstandings, kind of taking to see where the person's coming from to not avoid conflict so much, but to really kind of delve in and be able to set more boundaries, I think has been helpful. So it really does help to kind of see where everybody fits on the DiSC style to be able to learn how to kind of communicate better with each style, I think has been helpful.
Great, great. And I heard you say setting more boundaries, so it sounds
Yes.
like that was stretch, your stretch. Emmy?
So I think for me, with my style of being ID, I'm also very direct. I think setting those expectations for my team. It also has helped me, just like yourself, use that framework, CODIS, where I have to intentionally listen. And also, Dr. Radasta said that you have to be also lead with empathy and also be empathetic to your team. So I think I always want to get it done. Being an old ER nurse, I'm just like boom, boom, boom. Let's get it done. So this framework has helped me slow down and listen to staff more intentionally. So.
Thank you, Emmy. Leading with grace and patience is important, so thank you for sharing. All right, I have another question for you all. How do you use DiSC when giving feedback?
So I think for me, with the IS style, prior to class, I was really kind of avoidant of those like hard conversations, but the crucial ones. So now after taking the class, that's kind of made me realize that maybe before I was a little bit too, avoidant and kind of dancing around things sometimes. So now it's really helped me to become more direct with feedback, because obviously feedback is very important. It allows everybody to grow, and just using it constructively and being able to be more direct with it.
I think for me, sorry, I have to look at my notes.
That's okay, that's okay. Okay, yeah, go for it.
That's part of my style. As I get older, CODIS.
Okay,
I
oh,
guess
you're gonna, oh, I'm sorry.
I ask myself with my personality and my traits, right? I mean, those are really our own natural personalities that are present during this DiSC personal assessment or test. So with each team member, you have to adapt, right? And so for me, what I found helpful is how do I use my traits to benefit my team, right? Because each person is not going to respond to me the same way Nicole will, as opposed to CODIS, just like you said. It's like about emotional intelligence, right? So I think just, that was my train of thought, sorry, just kind of using your natural traits and how to elevate your team using my traits, because everybody's different. So each trait is going to elevate your team differently, if that makes any sense.
It does, and it allows leaders to focus in on themselves first and utilize their traits to be able to give to the team, right? So, Ghazal, I think you were gonna answer
so
too.
It kind of helped me providing my honest constructive feedback in a different way, because now understanding the style of each personality, right? So the thing is this, I'm an SI person, like somebody like easygoing, avoid conflict and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is that if I'm dealing with a D person and I'm providing my constructive feedback to the D person, they probably not big fan of like me going around the bush, like not really coming up on a main topic. They really want my direct, like expectation, what I have from them, and they really wanted to hear this. Similarly, like if there's an I person, that person is more like analytic, more like looking for like results or like, analysis and stuff like that. So my focus when I'm talking to them and dealing with them is just like, providing in my feedback all, of course, giving them my honest opinion, but just focusing on the area so that I'm making my language so that they can understand it in their own term, because this is their personality, right? I cannot talk in my way all the time just because they will understand it. So this is where I think it really helped me just to kind of provide my constructive feedback that way.
That's great. Thank you. Oh, Codis, go for it.
Yay, all 4 of us are answering.
I know. Look at this active engagement today. It's early enough for you all. That's what it is.
So when it comes to feedback, I think for me, it's also been helpful to apply some form of the teach-back method. So when I'm having conversations with my direct reports on, we're troubleshooting any issues, I'll try and confirm, like, hey, like, you said this is how I received it. Did I receive it correctly, or did I miss something? Did I lose some context along the way? And sometimes we do that, like, within the meeting. Sometimes I, like, depending on the person and their style, I'll also send kind of like my own summary of what we discussed afterwards, so that they can then, for those who have that style, they can kind of read through it and be like, in their own time, kind of digest it and be like, okay, this is good, we're on the same page. Or, there's a couple of tweaks here and there, just want to make sure that we brush up on this finer point. And if there's more conversation to be had from that, then, good. So I think for me, like, also utilizing notes and the teach-back method, and, depending on the person you're talking with, has been helpful in terms of, expanding trust and understanding amongst the team. So they still feel comfortable, like, coming to me with any questions, or if I'm going to give them feedback that may be a little bit more critical, like, we both understand that, like, it's coming from the right place, and we're trying to move it in a positive direction. So yeah, I'll summarize that.
That was a great summary. Thank you, Codis, for sharing that. Thank you. So, I've got another question for you all today. How has DiSC helped you lead more effectively in high-pressure situations? Those don't happen, though, so I know you're going to have to reach way back for the high-pressure situations.
Can I answer that?
Of course.
All righty. Okay, so again, applying the personalities and also speaking, not only here at work, but I'm the part of like some volunteer groups also, like, working for some social causes stuff, and I deal with different personality. And even though I do not know this style, but then by applying, these traits, you can somehow figure out that, okay, maybe this person is like that. So sometimes like at work also, you have to work under a lot of pressure. But then if you just, like, for example, I am more like a optimistic person based on my style, but there are a certain type scenario when you have to be more realistic. So you change accordingly, and then you understand the situation based on like not only knowing your own personality, but knowing other people's personality, and then you tend not to take things more personally, but more practically. So it really helped me to kind of, I have to say, not only you understand other people's personality, but you modify your own personality. Like in the class, I always used to say that I always was so fascinated by D style, because I always used to think they're like, oh, so bold, so direct. Why I'm not like that, right? But the thing is that you tend to become like that when you work with them, because you have to work, because you want to, especially when you're a leader, right? You really wanted to make your other leaders and your team successful also. So in order to make them successful, you have to adapt some of their style also, because you wanted to produce the result. You wanted to take it to the the common goal. So you have to actually, it's more like a give and take, I think.
Oh, a give and take. She wasn't close enough to the mic to make sure that got out there.
Yeah, it's more like a give and take. Yeah.
Anyone else?
I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking. So I will say for me, as a CS, and like when I saw like my assessment, like my dot is like on the perimeter of this circle down at CS. One of the things I remember from the course was regardless of whatever you're assigned in the DiSC profile, we all have a little bit of each one of these letters in us. And so when it comes to like high pressure situations, like oftentimes, maybe not oftentimes, but I realized for me, sometimes you need to be a little bit more assertive or direct, and so I kind of need to shift out of my usual CS and migrate on over to maybe the D or the I to influence, or just be more direct, in order to get that point across in a short period of time. Does the person, depending on who I'm talking to, like, do they kind of just need the next step to do? Do they need an explanation for why? Like, is it going to be less productive to try and explain this to them? And, do I just need to give them some next steps, and then we can come back and do an after-action brief and be like, hey, sorry, like, I needed you to do this. We were super time sensitive, but this is why I made this decision. So, give me some grace and understanding. So I know in those like high pressure moments, we kind of have to pivot out of our sometimes we have to pivot out of our comfort zones and kind of provide what is needed in that moment. And then, when you come back to your style and you're like, how did I feel about, maybe getting out of my comfort zone? Is there anything I need to do to follow up? You can, if that's what feels right to you, you can do that as well.
Thank you, thank you. And you mentioned some nuggets that you've taken from the training and that you've been able to apply like throughout and keep at the forefront of your mind. So now I am going to ask each member of this panel, what advice would you give to someone who is skeptical about enrolling in the Foundations of Leadership program? Oh my gosh, there are answers.
I think the program is great. What I enjoyed most was it was multidiscipline. So, at the end of the day, we are all connected, right? Because we have one goal, we're going towards one mission, right? So, and that's where we were unified, I think, in this training course. And just learning about, that's what I wanted to say, sorry guys. Learning the stories I thought was very helpful for me, so that we can just discuss what I have done better, or learning about CODIS's experience as a newer leader, right? And having the opportunity to discuss that with more of the tenured leaders in the room, so.
Thank you, Emmy.
I guess we'll go down the line.
Down the line.
And I don't want to have the last word. So, if you're skeptical about signing up for the Foundations of Leadership course, I hear it's mandatory, so don't be skeptical. Also, as leaders, we are, constantly, we should be constantly like evolving, constantly learning. And I think this is just an additional tool in the toolkit. Maybe, you have some other framework that you've learned about in a previous role, and you feel like that is more of your comfort zone. But learning about DiSC and interacting with DiSC isn't going to hurt, isn't going to harm. And there may be one or two things that you pull out of it, even in addition to whatever training you've received previously. And so, there's always the opportunity to have a value add. And, it's also really fun to kind of be in the room and hear stories from your fellow leaders and interact with some leaders, because I also realize, our location for like my team is on East Campus. So I've been away from like the hospital and like, most of the people I'm seeing in the room today for a few years. And so it was nice to be back on the west side of campus and, meet some people who've come on new since I've, taken on this role as well, and kind of see like what are their leadership styles, and maybe there are opportunities to connect and network and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of potential value add when it comes to doing this program. Plus, it's mandatory.
I know. So he really means tell your peers.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just a great opportunity to kind of get to know other leaders that you may work with, you may not, and kind of seeing everybody's style and being able to learn from one another. I thought it was really helpful to be able to, once we were kind of broken into groups and seeing the way that everybody deals with things is not always the same. So there's a lot of growth that one can get from taking the course.
Thank you, Nicole.
Okay, for me, and I think my advice to everyone, as a matter of fact, my advice to even those for whom it's not mandatory, they should be also taking this course. And the reason why I say that, because I always see this thing this way that, we all come to work with a purpose and we spend most of our time here. So it doesn't really matter even if it's work or whatever the role you're playing in your life, your goal is to create an impact. You wanted to get something out of it, right? So I think it's just very important to then not only learn your own personality, but just learn other people's personality and then just work in a way so that, you basically get the best out of it, when you're working in a collaboration or, working independently and stuff like that. So my advice is just whoever, and then again, like everybody else mentioned, that networking. I met some really amazing people even today, I just made some new contact. It really helps you to, get to know more people because, when we come to work, it becomes like a very routine. We come to work, we do our job, and then it gets frustrated, and then, we get exhausted, and sometimes we are all burnt out. In my opinion, I always love to learn. So in my opinion, these kind of courses, you take a break from your daily routine. And my advice to each one of whoever did not take the course yet is just to take in person, actually, not online. And the reason is because this is where you get to meet people, and this is where you just take a break from your daily work routine, and then when you go back, you'll be more enthusiastic, you'll be full of energy, and you will apply more whatever you will learn. So I like that.
Oh, yeah, Emmy, go for it.
Thank you. I just want to add also how I think that what I do like about the program was the ability to have access to the DiSC of other leaders. So if we're all developing others, right, especially on your team. So I think that's where you can find it very useful, is to find, if I was developing CODIS, for instance, we're obviously not the same, but we can, how can I develop him, and I can also learn from him. But I think that's a very important tool that we are able to utilize from this program.
Great. Thank you so much, Emmy, for sharing. Ghazal, you were going to add in?
And I just want to add something to the same point like what you just said. That when I took this course later on, I was just thinking, and we got the engagement survey results and all that stuff. So I started doing more meetings with my team, try to improve communication, stuff like that. So I was also thinking that I'm oh yeah, you know what, maybe I should have something very similar, like a DiSC style for each one of my team member. And, I wanted to introduce, to them also that, they need to understand each other personality and then DiSC style. And so that way it would just basically be really good and effective, teamwork.
Thank you all for that valuable feedback. And I'm sure you all probably feel like they're preaching to the choir, right? Because you all are here because we are celebrating you, we are recognizing your efforts, and we're recognizing and acknowledging your own investment in yourself. And so hopefully what you gathered from the panel discussion today is just a little bit more about how you can take what you've learned and not make a DiSC a one and done, but also share the love and share with your peers about what they are really going to experience while attending the Foundations of Leadership. And so I'd like to take this moment to open it up for our questions and answers. If there are any questions for the panel as they sit here today.
See, I knew we should have gave them salad. Well, no, if there's no questions for the panel, quick question for you. How have you incorporated DiSC into your work departments, in your areas, and interacting with your direct reports?
Jennifer? Oh, wait, April is coming with the mic.
So I rushed back to my office and grabbed the conflict wheel out of the handout, and I have it hung by my desk. Because to me, that was one of the most useful tools, is going to the other letter opposite of me or whatever is not me, and it gives you suggestions on how to approach the conversation with the person. So the wheel is right there, and I would strongly encourage other people to do it if they haven't, and it's been helpful.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing, Jen.
Anyone else?
And if it's been too long for some of you, she's referring to the healthy versus unhealthy conflict wheel.
Hi.
Hi, Cheryl.
This is Cheryl Murphy, Information Services. I found it very valuable to have the wheel, as she shared, close to me, not only for, the reaction of them, but to understand what I may be presenting that I'm not aware of. So I definitely have certain traits that, I won't say might be offensive, but might be put off by other people, or in the conversation it may make them hesitant. So I think it's a balance of the two, understanding what you might be, presenting to the person that you're not aware of, and, what they might be trying to share or attempting to share or hesitant to share, and then knowing how to have a better conversation to be able to pull that information forward to make it a valuable encounter. I hope that makes sense.
It does. It does. Thank you for being willing to share, too, because it is important to have valuable encounters, engaging encounters, and open the door for that. Cool. All right.
Question to everyone. How have you utilized or implemented the psychological safety? So as you went back and the 7-item questionnaire and speaking to your team and your direct reports, that's some key takeaways, because how do you know there's psychological safety within your teams and within your departments? So just to go back to utilize the tools and your resource. Oh, here we go.
I'm sorry, I don't want to manipulate the conversation, but I think recognizing the persona of the team, and then once again your presentation and emphasizing that it's a safe environment, and also in your response to what they might be recommending, if there's a way to incorporate their recommendation in the daily work process, to do that shows people that you're open as well as you value them as, part of your team. So that safety also comes from your one-on-ones with your team members to say, this is a safe environment, and then to prove that it's a safe environment. If there's something that they tell you from a confidential perspective, that they never hear it again, or your response is one of helpfulness to give them recommendations, you prove that it is a safe environment. So to me, that is definitely a management response. That's very important. How do you respond? How do you react? How do you utilize the information? And then what they see you do with it. Because they're always observing their managers to see how are they going to respond to the information that I shared with them. And then if it's valuable, then you get more and you get more, and you get a safe environment.
Absolutely, because actions speak louder than words. Thank you, Cheryl, for sharing.
Mic drop.
I'm sorry?
Mic drop.
Mic drop, absolutely. And so I am thankful to this panel. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for your willingness to be open and vulnerable to this group. If we could give them a round of applause for their time today. And Alan, if you can make your way up, and you all are dismissed. Thank you. You're dismissed from this panel, not from this event. Make sure that's cool. Oh, yeah, you could. He's coming up. All right, while our most amazing texture, Alan, reconnects the presentation for today, I'm asking you all to continue to keep an open mind and continue to utilize your resources like the folks sitting next to you. And so it is our desire by continuing to elicit these conversations and connect you with other leaders like yourself that you're able to gravitate towards methods and behaviors that you may or may not be doing, but ultimately may influence how you move forward as a leader. So this screen should be up any moment, right, for me? Oh, yay. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so let's do a DiSC refresher because it's important to do a quick recap, right? Everyone is already familiar with their styles, or at least I hope you revisited it before today. And even if you didn't, that's okay, because we have this small reminder in here. But we do have to make sure that we understand that understanding DiSC is not just about understanding people. It is a practical behavior of leadership. It is a practical framework of how you move forward in being a leader. And so, yes, DiSC defines behaviors for us, but ultimately it helps us in understanding how to continue to refocus our efforts as a leader. So as we revisit the 4 DiSC styles that you see up on your screen, I ask you to think of them today through the lens of how you approach meetings and how each style approaches those meetings. And because when we think about that today, as we take on today's conversation, it's ultimately going to help us understand how to design agendas and be more effective as we work towards engaging the people that we manage and really everyone efficiently and effectively. So as we see on the screen, we already know the dominance is direct and firm, right? But we also know that they are focused on results and action. So how do you actively engage them in your meetings through that style? The I style we know is enthusiastic and outgoing, right? But we also know that our I style enjoys a good brainstorming session too. So how do you build that into your agendas? S style values the stability, right? The harmony. They're bringing the peace, as even Ghazal mentioned today and Nicole. But remember that the S style makes sure that everyone is heard. How do you actively engage that style in a meeting? And then the C style, we already know, is the analytical of the group. They need data, they need proven structure. But that's why when we talk about building the agenda, how do we feed into the C style and making sure that they're actively engaged in provide them with structure to the discussions that you're leading. And so let's keep these styles in mind as we take on today's agenda. And then even I'm asking you today to think about how your own team members show up when you are in your meetings and how you ultimately can better engage them. So let me take a moment to let you know that the first step in designing more effective meetings is to actually understand the art of bad meetings, right? We all been in those. We know they happen, right? And so let's introduce that video now.
We have to come to a decision.
I still don't fully understand.
We've been over this.
If we'd just gotten the materials in advance, then we wouldn't still be.
Whoa. Sorry, I'm new. I didn't know this room was taken.
Quite all right. We're in a bit of a marathon. We started at 9:30.
But it's only 9 now.
What is that glowing little box?
Some sort of miniature television?
It's just my phone.
What year is it?
2021?
I told you this was taking forever.
If we'd just gotten the materials.
How long have you been in here?
Since 1986. We're stuck on item 1.
Can somebody check on Rover? He must be starving.
Don't be selfish, Alan. This is your fault.
Well, I voted yes in 1993.
And then you changed to no in 2007.
The date is confusing.
Look, it appears we've spent a good portion of our lives trying to get past item 1. They've probably invented flying cars by now and cured every disease.
Not exactly. We can take pictures on our phones, and they have robot vacuums, but nobody really likes them. Oat milk is popular.
They milk oats.
We're getting off track. Let's go back to item 1.
Shall we order steak for lunch?
No! This meeting has to end. The decision doesn't even matter anymore. There's robot vacuums. Let's just all vote no and be free.
I was actually leaning towards yes.
Good. Yes. Let's vote yes. Show of hands for yes on item 1.
It's a tie. We're deadlocked.
I'll update the minutes.
Out of curiosity, what is item 1?
Whether or not to invest in personal computers for the office.
I still think they'll never catch on.
Back to the meeting. Shall we pick up from item 1?
We're taking it selfish.
No worries. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, welcome back, my fellow streamers out there. Okay. So the video recognizes that, yes, the bad meetings strike again, right? But as we move away from the boring meetings and the meetings without agendas, without progression, without key results, we understand and we have to recognize that one-way communication is not worth a meeting. Brian Nelson Palmer is actually delivered this quote at the National Conference of the Association of Talent Development. And he's a productivity expert that focuses on sharing really insightful strategies that ultimately enhance your personal productivity. Now, Brian is not a one and done, so we'll hear about him a little bit later today, but ultimately what we're focused around this quote is that when we recognize how DiSC plays a part in the meetings that we come to know and love, we recognize that DiSC allows us to explore methods and communication facets that really help us with being able to lead effective meetings and ultimately be able to enhance the engagement throughout. So let me take a moment to introduce you to your graduate guide on page 1. The graduate guide is what was handed to you upon check-in today, and it is on page 1, right behind that title page. And we want to focus on understanding that when we add DiSC to the mix, it encourages you to really know your people and know them in a way that helps them ultimately reach the results that the meeting is focused around. And so I'd like to introduce you to a couple of benefits of utilizing DiSC as an informed approach today. The very first thing is the enhanced communication and understanding. When we recognize that there are different DiSC styles, you can adjust your communication. We heard our panel talk about that before earlier today, about how adjusting your communication to be able to match the preferences of those that you're managing or leading essentially can help people process information a little bit better and, of course, encourage them to express themselves in a way that avoids miscommunication or misinterpretation, right? The next thing is focused meeting goals and outcomes. And you can see from your screen here that the focused meeting goals and outcome is important to recognize that each DiSC style has a different way of engaging with the meeting objectives. So what's important to one style may not necessarily be important to others. But when we design meetings to be able to deliver clear and tailored expectations within the agenda, it ultimately is going to present you with a higher level of engagement, a higher level of satisfaction, and ultimately help with building that overall sense of trust with your teams. The next benefit for engaging DiSC through your meetings is an increased engagement and productivity. And I've already mentioned before how the meeting design does actively engage different DiSC styles, right? And so we don't have to go back and forth with that. But we want our attendees to feel comfortable, and we want them to feel valued, like Cheryl mentioned earlier, right? We want them to feel that the contributions that they're giving or the opportunity for them to to deliver more and more in the meeting and understand how those ideas come together to produce the results that are needed. Ultimately, this helps with keeping and maximizing that engagement. Next is the flexibility, adaptability in meeting design. So there are ways that you can, in fact, mix and match strategies when it comes to different styles. So we know that these styles may need time to express their opinions fast, quick, in a hurry, right? Because they like brevity. But we also know that the S and the C style likes to provide that in-depth and thoughtful feedback, which can conflict sometimes with the certain style. So how do we leverage the two and ultimately be able to flex our meeting design to be able to enhance that engagement moving forward? And the very last thing is increased accountability and clarity. So we know that when understanding the DiSC style, it could be in your best interest to assign meeting roles to different people that ultimately align with their own strengths. And how do we do that? Is making sure that we know our people. That's what you need to recognize when it comes to adding DiSC to the mix. So, I am asking you today that you leave here with the intent to make sure that you are ultimately utilizing the information in your graduate guide and designing your meetings to meet the styles. And the graduate guide has this snapshot of how to do that. And while I won't spend a whole lot of time digesting and dissecting that, I do encourage you to read it at your leisure and ultimately help enhance your meeting quality. Now, we do spend some time going into, though, how each style approaches meetings, because that's really important, and it's a nice refresher to be able to understand how each style is going to be able to approach meetings moving forward. So we know that our D, our dominants, they want you to keep it focused, keep it fast-paced, and keep it outcome-driven. What is the results? So not lingering too much on the small talk, but more about how do we get to the end result of what needs to happen here. When we know that when it comes to meeting efficiency, our D style is absolutely going to approach meetings with specific goals in mind, and then ultimately how they're going to prioritize being able to reach those goals to maximize the results. So while the D style is focused on driving results, it is important, and it is strongly encouraged that you encourage them to occasionally step back and listen to others, right? We know that they sometimes can take over a conversation and move the conversation forward. So encourage others who are quieter, like the S or that C style, right? Encourage, if you are a D style, encourage the others who are the S and C style, who can have less of a dominant personality to feel actively engaged in the discussion. And while staying results driven is key for the D style, as we already know it, it's going to be important to be able to maximize the discussion for brainstorming, to be able to appear, to actively engage that I style and let them know that it's okay, that it's going to take a little bit of work for us to get there. You heard me mention, if you identify as the D style, active listening, focus on inclusivity, and remaining flexible, right? No hard, rigid corners. Next is the I for influence. We know collaboration, energy, and people time. And so while creativity and enthusiasm are great, focusing on staying on track with the meeting is important if you're an I-style person, right? It's easy to get off track. And then balanced participation. Sometimes the I-style encourages others to participate in the conversation when we ultimately have to be mindful of not dominating the conversation and actively engaging and getting off topic. And you can also improve by ensuring that meetings end with clear action items after that. The S-style tips are to stick to the agenda, create a space for quiet voices to share, avoid rushing them, right, because they like harmony, and allow for reflection. But one thing that I think is even more important is that if you identify as the S-style, it's important that you continue to work toward not being resistant to change, and ultimately embracing that change more easily, and recognizing that the conversation can take on such a dynamic approach if you can be a little bit, if you can embrace the change of what's happening or what the meeting is about. I'm encouraging the S-style folks to take initiative. So in group discussions, you can benefit from speaking up a little bit more. Find a space for you to interject, for you to jump in, for you to wait for the period and not the comma, right? And sometimes you got to enter in the comma too, because the period never comes. And so ultimately, though, it is important that you can, as an S-style, we know you lean towards the harmony and the consensus building, but we want you to work toward focusing on the actions and the end results as well. And then lastly, our conscientiousness group, the data, the logic, the thoroughness, that's important to them. Tips for enhancing their meeting style and how they approach the agenda. Provide background ahead of time, as much feedback, as much materials as you can give them. And of course, leave room in your agenda for clarifying questions for that group. Allow for preparation and reflection. Remember, they need some time to process. They're reviewing your data and your thoroughness of it, so they're looking to make sure that it in fact holds the facts, the data, and the clarity that they need in order to be able to successfully get to the end result. If you yourself identify as the C style in order to improve meeting effectiveness, speed up your decision making, right? It is okay to, while it's important and it may seem imperative to thoroughly and effectively evaluate situations, you can sometimes be bogged down in the details or bogged down in things that slow decision making down. And so we know that accuracy is important, so I'm not telling you to sacrifice that, right? We know that quality is important to this group, and so we want to make sure, though, that they don't get bogged down by the things that don't make or break us. Then the balanced position with flexibility. So we know that precision is essential. We know that accuracy is important to this group, but even if while we're balancing that precision, we recognize that being flexible is important because we want to hear the different perspectives, and we need to respect that there are different perspectives that can add just a little bit more clarity to you. And the last thing today, encourage participation from others. Sometimes the C-style can be so focused on facts that you miss out on actively engaging others in the conversation. And so we want to make sure that there's more of a collaboration and more of an emotional space that is opened up to allow people to feel comfortable and safe, especially in brainstorming sessions, to be able to share their ideas and their feedback. So that's how they approach meetings. Now we have to think about how we build better agendas. And the most important parts to building the better agendas when recognizing the D style is to remain direct and results oriented. So with the agenda format, consider beginning with the most critical items first. The action items that make a difference, the content, keep the talking points concise, and the participation, allowing them to lead certain sections of the meeting that's important. The I style, the enthusiasm, maybe add a brief informal check-in in the beginning to allow for that personal connection, right? Because if we just not asking how the weather was, and we just jumping right in, I'm gonna be offended. And so we consider thinking about how to interject that informal time with them. Use stories and relatable examples to make the points engaging, because if it's not engaging, they won't go. And then the participation, give the I-styles chance to energize the group. Then lastly, the S style, oh, not lastly, the S style focus on the sharing the agenda well in advance, including the agenda items, and then giving the S style ample time to be able to reflect before speaking. And then lastly, the C style, right? The thoroughness, the accuracy, send the detailed information up front, structure the agenda to proceed logically, because if it jumps back and forth, it won't follow. Frame your discussion points as specific questions that require a little bit of a methodical approach, and then provide time for that in-depth discussion on the complex topics. So making sure that you value everyone's time. All right, so in summary, when designing your agenda, we already know that you want to consider a mix of different styles because not one person is the same. So consider the following. Start with a brief check-in with the IS, to meet the IS needs. Get to decisions quickly to meet the D style needs, and then end with documentation and follow-up to satisfy the C style needs. All right, any questions? Okay, cool. So then what we are going to do is we're going to launch our activity at this time to be able to get going and have you interject your information. And so Jason's going to join us on stage to lead us in today's activity.
So y'all didn't think you just got to like be quiet and do nothing and get fed? That's not how it works. Okay, so this is going to take just a few minutes, but if you go to your graduate guide, which sounds way better than the 4-page handout, we're going to take a look at page 2. What we want to do here is just kind of spend a little bit of time. Hey, I made the thing work right. Go me. If you take a look at the scenario that's outlined there, basically we're considering a situation that I'm sure nobody has ever experienced, which is that there is a meeting with an agenda that is vague, unclear, and insufficient. Has anybody ever been in that situation? Never, ever? Okay, a few people are willing to at least admit it, right? Well, we're going to try to make this one not one of those, and that's really the whole idea behind this little activity. So if we look at kind of the scenario, right, which is a department leadership team needs to meet to review patient safety initiatives. The agenda includes 3 items: review the metrics, have open discussion, and then wrap up. And so if we consider a scenario like this, imagine that the meeting happened and we just kind of jumped around a whole lot and we didn't really accomplish what we wanted to. Maybe we had a situation that came up where a couple of people really dominated the discussion and then we walked away without any real clarity on what needs to happen next. Again, I feel like this is simply taken from most of the meetings that I've attended in my life, which is 10 people are in a room, 2 people talk, somebody says, good meeting, we're 20 minutes late, and then we leave, right? So that's what we're trying to avoid. So with everything that Angelique just kind of walked us through, the ideas of what different DiSC styles might need, both from the meeting and specifically the agenda, what we'd like you to do is just take a couple of minutes, first on your own, and then with your table group, to kind of consider which styles during this scenario might have been disengaged given the poor agenda and the outcome that we've discussed. And then how you might restructure the agenda to ensure that all styles are included. So going back to page 1 and considering what Angelique has shared with you. Is that clear as mud for folks? Excellent. So just jot down a couple of things that jump out to you, which styles aren't being represented by the agenda, and how you might make some changes to that. We're going to give you a total of 5 minutes to look it over, have a little chat, and then we'll debrief together briefly. Ignore the times on the slide. We're spending 5 on this because y'all are efficient. All right, we're just going to take like one more minute here, then we'll come back and debrief. All right, folks, my phone tells me you're not allowed to think anymore. Now you have to talk. So we're moving from thinking to talking right now. So just real briefly, again, we're not going to spend much time here, but I am curious kind of what came up. So I think we might have a microphone that we can filter around. Look at April run back there. Thank you. All right, so I'd like to hear from just a couple of folks. Based on the scenario, like which DiSC styles do you feel like maybe are going to be disengaged in a meeting like that? I don't think so. Nope. I mean, I can hear you, but.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me now? All right, so I was
Yes, ma'am.
eavesdropping over here, and I heard some amazing things, so I'm going to pass the mic.
Uh-oh.
Oh, did you?
I don't know what she heard, but so who are you? I'm a CS. Who am I? I am the assistant director for case management. At our table, I was sharing that we will start with a fun safety story to I don't know if there's any safety stories that are fun, but a fun safety story to get the eyes engaged and then get direct to which patient safety initiative that we're going to be looking at, and also then share the data that the baseline data that we already have, and then leave room at the end for open discussion to help satisfy the S. So that everyone can share their ideas on how we're going to help improve this initiative.
Awesome, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. All right.
You're welcome.
All right, let's hear from one more person. 2 is a stretch goal, if anyone's really feeling themselves. All right.
I love it.
We are now at meets expectations. Congratulations, everyone.
Wait, which one am I answering now?
Dealer's choice.
All right, well, how would I restructure the agenda to
Great.
ensure all styles are included? Similar to the other group, I said provide an intro or orientation with the decisions that need to be made during the meeting. And then I think expand the metrics to discussion to examine successes and learnings. What are the lagging or leading indicators based on the metrics? And then make decisions that are focused, not open. And then lastly, discuss and assign next steps. What was the purpose of meeting if there's nothing coming out of it?
Thank you. What is the purpose of the meeting? Knowing it going in and then having something at the end that grounds us back to that so that we can make some changes based on what we decided is going to be really crucial. And I think that's crucial for every style. I mean, the reality is we tend to break these things down into the 4 quadrants and all of that. But I feel like for a meeting to be effective, we need to make sure that we're being respectful of everyone's time by sending out an agenda ahead of time and sticking to it. There's some really great material here. If you take a look at page 3, because we have it in your guide, we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. But I do want to call out down at the bottom where you see the tap and train models. love an acronym. But TAP is a really cool one. So it goes through 4 things. First of all, time, to start and end on time, and do not restart for a latecomer. How many meetings have we been in where it's like, oh, okay, well, hey, I know you're 10 minutes late. You didn't miss much. Let's go back to the beginning and go through that again, right? And then somebody else comes in 5 minutes after that, and the same thing happens. So if you find yourself in that situation, just understand that if what we have to do is wait to start the meeting for the key person to be there, let's at least be transparent about that, right? And be as respectful and open about that as possible. Send out the agenda, A's agenda, send it out in advance. Don't do the thing that says, hey, everyone, just holding some time on your calendars, detailed agenda to follow, and that aspirational thing never really happens, which I know we've all been guilty of, or I reference that. I've certainly been guilty of. Or it gets sent out 3 minutes before the meeting is going to start, which doesn't really count. P is preparation. What do attendees need to know or do or bring so they can be prepared and participate correctly? And finally, the purpose. Why are we here? What are we trying to do? And then ultimately, how does that drive our takeaways at the end? So thinking of an agenda as like the recipe for the meeting, I think, is a useful analogy, or at least it is for me. So that's what allows us to make sure that the meeting happens in an effective fashion. If we don't have a good recipe to begin with, your dinner's going to turn out like mine, which is very, very bad. So I have to have instructions to follow, and that's what all we're trying to do when we build an agenda. Make sense? Speaking of being respectful of time, starting on time and ending on time, which we're about to do. So we're going to move through just a couple of key takeaways here before we call it an afternoon. All right, so those takeaways for the inclusive agenda are just up on the screen right now, and it's basically everything we just talked about, right? Sharing that agenda and the materials in advance, being clear about the objective, allocating specific time slots for topics. So that whole idea of, oh, we'll have open discussion without any more bullets underneath that can be really frustrating, because if we say open discussion and we want to get through 3 things, we're probably going to get through 1 and then say, oopsie, right? And now are those folks in the video in 2046 saying, can we move back to agenda item 1? Encouraging different types of participation, giving folks the opportunity to prepare in advance and maybe send things or be ready to have that discussion, making sure that we've got some of that open space available for those who need it, and then ensuring that we're using a parking lot to table items that are important but out of scope for the meeting. And then, of course, return to the parking lot. If we don't do that part, then people stop respecting it pretty quickly. Okay. It's nearly time to go home. Well, to leave here. I don't care where you go after this, but a couple of things that we want to make sure we're doing. So we have the LMS TMS community, where we will absolutely be ensuring that folks have access to that, where you can shout out your achievements, you can reach out to other participants and ask questions. We'll facilitate that to some degree. That's all going to be online. When I say we'll facilitate it to some degree, what I mean is the OD team, primarily Angelique, but the rest of us as well, will be popping in with some thought questions and things like that. But we really want this to continue to be a living opportunity for everybody. So we'll be doing that and kind of building that out over time. All right. So just a couple of additional things as we wrap things up for the day. Ultimately, what we want folks to do is, I'll say this, as the folks who have attended the training from the beginning, either in the pilot session or any of our Q1 sessions, just know that you are the ones who are really setting a foundation of the foundation. We'll call that. That sounds good, right? What we are asking you to do is take the things that you've learned, not just use them in your day-to-day, but use them as a tool to encourage folks to attend and participate as well. Yeah, I know it's required. I know it's a mandatory thing, but there's like mandatory training stuff. By the way, little plug, that just launched a month early. Hey, go us. We could get it done early and be done, or we could do mandatory, like, January 30th, we start it and then say, uh-oh, and we're speed running through it and everything we kind of lose it. Same thing's true with this. The more you can encourage folks to be engaged, jump in, and get involved early, I think the better. And finally, as we kind of wrap up here and prepare to leave, we're just going to ask you to recommit and continue to commit to building this future of our leadership together. We do have a quick video that we want to share as we wrap things up for the day. I'll just say this, thank you again for your attendance. Make sure you grab a snack on your way out if you haven't already done so. We'll call it a day there. All right, let's see if I can make the video work.
Strong leadership is the foundation of every high-performing organization. And at UI Health, our leaders play a critical role in advancing our mission, vision, and values. To help our leaders continue to learn, grow, and advance at UI Health, our organizational development team is launching a new leadership development program. By investing in leadership development, we are building the pipeline to support our hospital's future and long-term success.
Leadership development is a dynamic and evolving initiative designed to cultivate confident, competent leaders who drive excellence, innovation, and inclusivity across our organization. Our approach includes a wide range of training and development opportunities to help leaders learn and grow at every stage of their career. These offerings include UIH Essentials, a core training that covers key UI Health processes such as hiring, workforce composition, and disciplinary procedures. Foundations of Leadership, a comprehensive program that equips leaders with the skills to foster a thriving, inclusive, and mission-driven workforce. Leadership Competencies, a framework focused on the measurable behaviors that define effective leadership at UI Health. Plus, continuous leadership development, recurring trainings each month to address the unique aspects of being a leader, such as emotional intelligence, change management, performance feedback, and so much more.
Through these trainings, UI Health is creating a foundation for outstanding team performance, strong employee engagement, and exceptional patient outcomes. By nurturing the next generation of UI Health leaders, the Leadership Development Team will help you lead with confidence, build high-performing teams, and drive organizational success.
The Leadership Development Program reflects UI Health's strategic focus on investing in learning and development as a key driver of our commitment to provide exceptional patient care, experience, and outcomes. By strengthening leadership capabilities at all levels, we are ensuring that leaders like you are prepared to meet the evolving challenges of healthcare while fostering a positive, inclusive, and results-driven culture.
We want UI Health to be the best place to work. By prioritizing leadership development, we're ensuring that staff throughout our organization have equal opportunity to learn, grow, and lead UI Health to future success.
Leaders like you are essential to making UI Health the best place to work and receive care. We are proud to offer this new leadership development program to ensure all leaders are set up for success. Thank you for your engagement and participation in this important new initiative.
I didn't appreciate everybody's time. Hey, okay, great. April, did you have anything else? Are we good to go? Ah, yes. You will be emailed a survey. It's very exciting. It's very important, and it's something that we take incredibly seriously. It allows us to make sure that we're kind of shaping both the program and all these future events as effectively as possible. That's it. Go home. We have boxes. Oh my God, we have boxes. Excellent.